Stories of Journey to the West, Chapter 11.
So the Tang King finds himself in the underworld. His guides,
Judge.
yeah, and Zoo Commander. Right. And it mentions he's already navigated past the city of wronged souls. And get this, he's left behind his vengeful enemies and debtors.
Yeah, it seems even death doesn't immediately clear the slate, does it? According to this text, anyway.
Apparently not.
What's really striking early on is how quickly the source establishes the system. It brings us right to
The 6 paths of reincarnation.
Yes, the 6 paths. And it's not just some, philosophical concept here. It's presented as a literal process the king witnesses, a kind of, essential sorting mechanism.
Okay, so how does it work?
Well, Judge lays out the rules explicitly. It details where souls go based purely on their actions in life. The text lists them clearly. First, do good deeds, you ascend to the immortal path.
Okay, immortal.
Then, be loyal, you get reborn into the noble path.
Noble path, got it.
Thirdly, practice filial piety, you're reborn into the blessed path.
Makes sense.
Be fair, you get reborn into the human path. Pretty straightforward.
Back to being human, yeah.
So accumulate virtue. That virtue transfers you to the wealthy path.
Interesting, a wealthy path.
And finally, siwe, be malicious, you sink down into the ghost path.
Wow, that is incredibly specific. It's not just good or bad, is it?
Not at all.
There are these distinct categories based on, like, loyalty, filial piety, fairness.
Exactly. Particular virtues matter. And the king's reaction is telling. The text says he nods, sighs. He even recites this poem endorsing the whole system. Siwe, which means excellent, truly excellent, doing good brings no calamity.
So he's buying into it. It really hammers home the source's point about direct karmic consequence.
Absolutely. And because of his apparent actions, his loyalty, presumably the text says Judge then leads him right to the one.
Gate of rebirth into the noble path.
That's the one. It confirms his destination within this whole afterlife structure.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets, more complex. And this is a really key nugget from the source, I think. Before the king actually departs, Judge gives him this crucial, non-negotiable mandate for when he gets back to the living world.
Wait, the underworld judge has a to-do list for the king. Seriously, what's on it?
It's actually quite specific. He must hold a
Waterland Grand Assembly.
Right. And the purpose, it's to oyekuk, basically to supersede or help the unclaimed wronged souls.
Okay, help the lost souls.
And Judge really stresses it. Sure, he says. Absolutely do not forget this.
Wow, okay. High stakes.
And the source makes those stakes crystal clear. If there's, in the underworld, literally no sound of resentment from these souls, then the living world will enjoy a celebration of great peace.
So peace in the afterlife means peace on earth.
That's the connection the text makes. The king is commanded to charfu, correct all his past wrongdoings, and also instruct everyone in the world to do good.
Why? What's the payoff?
Well, the text states it'll ensure his dynasty's longevity and the stability of his kingdom.
So his return isn't just some random miracle. It's potentially tied to this mission, a condition for his kingdom's future.
That's what the source heavily implies. It adds this whole layer of, political and spiritual consequence.
Drawn directly from the text.
Okay.
And the king agrees.
Yep, the text says he agrees to it all, and then he heads off with Zoo Commander.
Right. Now, the journey back, the source says it's incredibly swift.
Very fast.
They're on this Eno, a sea green horse, moving super fast towards the living world. They quickly reach the Wei River.
The Wei River, yes.
And this is where the narrative takes a truly bizarre turn.
It really does.
The text says the king sees a double-headed fish.
A double-headed fish.
Playing in the river.
Right.
And he just stops. He gets completely captivated, just fixated on these fish.
Even though Zoo Commander's like, come on, we gotta go.
Yeah, Zoo Commander urges him to hurry, but the king just keeps watching. He can't look away.
Despite the warning.
The text describes Zoo Commander suddenly grabbing the king's foot and, with a splash or a push sound, shoves him clean off the horse, straight into the river.
Just pushes him in, and the source is totally explicit about this. This weird, sudden push into the water is the mechanism. It's how he sheds the underworld and returns directly to the living world.
The river becomes the gateway. triggered by a shove.
Bizarre, but that's what the text says. The shove into the river is his ticket back.
Wow. Okay.
Meanwhile, back in the living world, the scene is pure chaos.
Right, the text shifts back to the palace, the White Tiger Hall.
Yeah, you've got all the top officials there. Zhao Magang, Qin Shibao, Wei Zheng, Zhou Yu.
All the big names.
Plus the crown prince, the empress, the consorts, everyone.
And what are they doing?
Well, they're in deep mourning. They're literally preparing the official announcement of the king's death, getting ready for the crown prince to take the throne, following protocol for when a monarch dies.
Standard procedure. But then...
just as they're about to make it official, Wei Zheng dramatically interrupts. He yells, "Ulzhang!"
No.
Right. He insists they absolutely cannot proceed. He claims the king will return.
Which must have sounded crazy.
Oh, completely. And understandably, it's met with disbelief. Zhu Jingzong pushes back. He uses that proverb, Wei. Spilled water. Can't be collected. A dead person doesn't return. Basically, come on, Wei Zheng, be realistic.
Exactly. He's saying, what are you talking about? Dead is dead.
So why is Wei Zheng so sure?
Well, Wei Zheng stands firm. And the text gives his surprising justification. He says he received mortal arts when he was young. And he's skilled at calculation or divination.
Calculation. Yeah. He's essentially calculated that the king isn't truly dead and will come back. It's presented not just as hope, but as, spiritual knowledge and precise forecasting.
Wow. Okay, that's a bold claim.
Extremely.
And the drama just ramps up perfectly. Just as they're arguing about whether he can possibly return.
Right.
They hear noises coming from inside the coffin. The king is yelling, "Bina!
I'm drowning! I'm drowning!"
Can you imagine? The text captures the sheer terror. Officials, the royal family, they just panic. Faces pale, limbs weak. The source says it's total pandemonium, people scattering, fleeing the hall.
Absolute chaos. But a few courageous individuals push through the fear. Zhu Magong, Wei Zheng himself, Qin Kuang, and Jingde, they actually approach the coffin.
What do?
They cautiously, support the coffin, calling out, asking if the king is troubled by something, maybe thinking it's a ghost making the noise, a restless spirit.
Understandable reaction. But it's Wei Zheng again, isn't it?
Yes. Again, it's Wei Zheng who cuts through the fear. He clarifies, nope, not a ghost. He says, this is His Majesty returning to life.
He calls it.
He does, and he orders the coffin opened immediately.
So they pry it open, and...
when they open it, the text says they find the Tang King sitting bolt upright inside.
Sitting up.
Still disoriented, still calling out about drowning and asking who saved him. He's still sort of stuck in that river moment.
Incredible.
The officials help him out. He's trying to explain his ordeal escaping the underworld, but then facing this
calamity of losing his life on the water surface.
Yeah, because Zhu Commander shoved him. He's still processing that weird exit.
So how do they handle this? He's clearly confused.
Well, Wei Zheng explains his confusion as lingering ghostly energy, basically remnants from the underworld.
Oh, okay.
So they quickly administer medicine, Pedian. It translates roughly to a spirit-calming, soul-settling medicine. And they give him food, try to get him grounded again.
Does it work?
The text confirms it does. After taking the medicine, it says he returned to his original state, regained his senses, and, well, he was back, fully present.
Just like that. And how long was this whole ordeal? How long was he actually gone?
The source is specific. 3 full days and nights. That's how long he was considered dead before this dramatic, frankly terrifying return to the living world as king.
3 days, wow.
And the text wraps up this whole sequence with a little poem, sort of marveling at it. It asks, who is like the Tang King, dying and then returning to life? Highlighting just how unprecedented this whole thing was.
Yeah, you don't hear that every day.
Not at all.
And then the source brings us back to normalcy pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, it does. The king rests up after his adventure, and the next morning, it's back to business. Officials ditch the mourning clothes, put on their court attire, and line up, waiting for an audience with the newly returned king.
Just back to the routine.
He gets up, gets ready for court, and the description is great. The reaching heaven crown, the ochre yellow robe.
That Lantian jade belt, and those amazing shoes. What were they called? Startup worry-free shoes?
Yeah, it's such a powerful image, isn't it? He's not just back, he's back in charge, fully imperial.
And he doesn't waste any time. Straight to the Golden Chariot Hall, gathers all the officials.
The chapter even names names, right? Wei Zhang, Hu Jingde, Cheng Youjin, the big figures are all there.
Yep, divided into their east and west groups, the whole court.
And their first question is basically, Your Majesty, why are you asleep for so long? They call it a dream.
Right, they have no idea. They just saw him unconscious for ages.
And that's his cue. That's when Emperor Taizong starts telling them this absolutely astounding story.
Okay, and here's where it gets really good.
He starts right at the beginning, receiving that letter from Wei Zhang.
The minister whose dream actions caused the whole Jing River Dragon mess in the first place.
Right. Taizong says he felt his soul just leave his body. Poof. Led away by guards, everything vanishes.
And then, awkward moment. He sees his dead father and brothers arguing.
Yikes. Talk about family drama following you to the afterlife.
But then Judge Kui Bang shows up. Dark cap, black robe, very official looking. He shoos the arguing spirits away.
And crucially, he accepts that letter Taizong got.
Yeah, that seems important. Judge Kui then becomes his guide, leading him deeper into the underworld system.
Until they reach the main event, the Senluo Hall, meeting the 10 kings of Yama.
This is the big confrontation. The kings immediately bring up the Jing River Dragon.
Like, okay, Emperor, you promised this dragon safety. What happened?
Exactly. And Taizong gives his side of the story, explains himself.
And then comes that amazing bit of underworld admin.
The Book of Life and Death. They call for it.
Judge Kui brings out this cosmic ledger, and the kings check Taizong's entry.
And the detail is incredible. Lifespan granted. 33 years.
Years lived so far. 13.
Leaving. 20 years. Exactly 20 years remaining.
Wow. So the official record confirms it. It just wasn't his time to die.
His fate wasn't sealed yet. So with that clarified, the kings say, okay, escort him back.
Superintendent Zhu and Judge Kui Bang are tasked with freaking him out.
And as he's leaving, Taizong, maybe out of sheer relief, makes a promise.
Oh yeah, the melons and fruit.
He says he'll send some back as a thank you gift to the Yama kings. Seems like a small thing.
But remember that promise, folks. It comes back big time.
He really does. But first, he gets a tour.
A tour of hell, basically, and the source doesn't shy away from the gruesome details.
Oh, it pulls no punches. He sees the punishments for all kinds of sins.
Lists them right out. Unloyal, unfilial, wasteful, deceitful, dishonest merchants, lustful people, slanderers.
All the bad stuff and the punishments. Grinding, burning, pounding.
Frying, boiling, hanging, flaying. It's intense.
And the scale. Thousands upon thousands. Too many to see. This is a stark picture of karmic justice, isn't it?
Absolutely. Your actions here, they have direct, painful consequences right there. No waiting around.
But getting out isn't simple either. His path gets blocked.
By the city of the wrongfully dead, packed with angry ghosts.
Specifically, rebels from 64 areas, bandit souls from 72 areas, a whole mob of them. Judge Kui again. He steps in, vouches for Taizong, and finds he borrows money. Gold and silver.
Borrows. Underworld money.
From a guy named Old Man Shang from Henan. Apparently there's a treasure vault down there. Yes, way. And he uses his borrowed ghost money to literally pay off the angry spirits blocking the path. Judge Kui gives him one last, really important instruction.
Yes.
When you get back, hold a great Waterland assembly. A big religious ceremony.
What?
To save all those masterless, solitary souls wandering around down there, gives Taizong a mission tied to his return.
Right. A way to earn merit, maybe. Pay it forward.
Something like that. After that, he passes under the 6 paths of reincarnation. Gets put on a horse by Superintendent Zhu.
And they're speeding back towards the Wei River, back to the living world.
Almost there. But then one last weird thing happens right before he wakes up.
Oh. What now?
He sees a fish in the river. A double-headed fish.
A double-headed fish.
Zhu commander just lunges, grabs his foot, pulls him into the water, and bam. That shock snaps him back to his body.
Wow. What a final, jarring image to bring him back.
Definitely. But that whole experience, that terrifying educational trip, it changes him. Immediately.
You see it right away in how he rules. He starts doing all these acts of mercy.
Yeah. First, a general amnesty across the whole empire.
And then that specific thing with the condemned prisoners, right? Over 400 of them?
Yes. He frees them, but tells them to go home, settle their affairs for a year, say goodbye, and then come back to face execution.
That's extraordinary. Temporary freedom based on trust, stemming from his own close call.
Exactly. He also sets up care for orphans, frees thousands of palace maids.
And arranges marriages for them with soldiers. The text says the result was the empire became good inside and out.
And he doesn't just do things. He tells everyone why. He issues this imperial proclamation.
Sharing his newfound wisdom from the underworld.
Pretty much. Talks about heaven's judgment being clear, wicked deeds getting punished in this life, good deeds getting blessed in this life.
So immediate consequences, not just waiting for the afterlife.
Right. And it stresses honesty, frugality. And then there's that killer line.
Which one?
If your heart is kind, why diligently study scriptures? If you intend to harm others, reading all the Buddhist scriptures is useless.
That's powerful. It's saying genuine goodness, your actual intention, matters more than just going through religious motions.
Yeah, it's certainly how it reads. The heart over the ritual. Inner virtue first.
And the proclamation apparently worked wonders. The text claims, not one person under heaven did not practice goodness.
But it shows the intended impact of his message.
So besides these reforms, Taizong still had those two specific IOUs from the underworld.
Right, the melons and fruit offering and paying back old Zhang Liang.
Two very concrete tasks. How did he handle them?
For the offering, he put up a notice, a recruitment list. Basically, who wants to deliver some fruit to hell?
Wonder how many people signed up for that.
We'll get to that. And for the debt, he sent a top official, Duke Yi Hu Jingde.
All the way to Henan.
Yep, Kaifeng Prefecture in Henan, specifically to find this Zhang Liang and give him back the gold and silver.
Again, so specific. Real places, real actions tied to these supernatural debts.
It really reinforces the tangibility of his underworld experience. It wasn't just a vision.
Okay, so who answered the call? Who volunteered for the underworld fruit delivery service?
This is where the story takes another fascinating and frankly heartbreaking turn. The volunteer is a man named Lu Quan from Junzhou, a wealthy man. But his story, it's rough.
What happened to him?
His wife, Li Quilian, did something seemingly small. She took a gold hairpin to give to some monks, an act of charity.
Okay, that sounds nice.
Well, Lu Quan saw it and just lost it. He yelled at her really harshly, accused her of violating wifely virtue, of leaving the inner quarters inappropriately, shaming her publicly.
Oh dear, it's harsh.
So harsh that she couldn't bear the insult. Li Quilian went inside and hanged herself.
Oh my God, just like that, over a hairpin and some monks.
Just like that. And Lu Quan is left devastated with young kids crying. He's completely broken by grief and maybe guilt.
I can only imagine.
So when he sees the emperor's retreatment list, asking for someone willing to die to deliver melons to the underworld,
he sees it as a way out.
Exactly. A way to end his own suffering, perhaps, but also framed as this noble sacrifice, giving up to life, abandoning his family and wealth to repay the nation by fulfilling the emperor's duty.
Wow, that's intense motivation born from tragedy.
Extremely intense.
Yeah.
So he takes the list, goes to Taizong. The king tells him what to do. Golden pavilion, melons on head, money in sleeve. Drink this poison.
And he just does it.
He does. Takes the medicine, dies right there as planned.
And his soul.
Pops right out, apparently still balancing the melons, and heads straight for the Ghost Gate, the entrance to the underworld.
Okay, so Lu Quan arrives at the gates of hell carrying fruit.
Pretty much. He tells the Ghost Guard, I'm on official business from Emperor Taizong, delivering tribute to the Yama Kings.
Does that work?
It does. The guard lets him pass, maybe respecting the Emperor's authority even down there.
So he gets to the Senluo Hall, meets the 10 kings again.
Presents the melons, explains they're from Taizong as thanks for their help. And the kings are pleased. Very pleased. They praise Taizong for being trustworthy and virtuous, for actually keeping his word. They accept the fruit.
Okay, mission accomplished for Lu Quan, technically.
Well, yes, but then they ask him about himself. Why is he here?
And he tells them his story. The wife, the hairpin, the suicide, his despair.
The whole tragic tale. His sacrifice to fulfill the emperor's promise because his own life felt meaningless.
And the Yama Kings hear this and...
They do something amazing. They feel for him, maybe. They order Li Quilian's soul to be found so the couple can be reunited right there in the underworld.
Really? They bring her soul to him?
They do. They're reunited in the Senluo Hall, tell their story again to the kings.
Then, is that it? A sad reunion in hell?
Not quite. The kings do something else remarkable. They check the Book of Life and Death again, this time for Lu Quan and Li Quilian.
Okay. And what does it say for them?
Get this. It says they both were destined for a lifespan leading to immortality or ascension.
What? So, despite her suicide and his despair-driven sacrifice, their actual fate was supposed to be incredibly long, even leading to immortality.
Exactly. Their earthly deaths were totally out of sync with their written destiny. It blows your mind, right? Fate is written, but tragedy can still strike prematurely.
So what do the kings do now? They can't just keep two souls destined for immortality down there.
Precisely. They decide they both have to be sent back to the world of the living.
Okay, easy for Lu Quan, maybe. His body's presumably still fresh back at the Golden Pavilion.
Right. But Li Quilian, her body's long gone, buried, decayed. What can they do?
Uh-oh. Problem.
And the solution the Yama Kings come up with? This might be the single weirdest thing in the whole chapter.
I'm braced for it.
They decide to borrow a body.
Borrow a body? Like check one out from a library?
Sort of.
Yeah.
They identify Princess Liu Ying, the emperor's sister, who is apparently now fated for an untimely death. According to their books, she's due to die right about now anyway.
So her body's becoming available.
Exactly. It's incredibly pragmatic and utterly bizarre.
So what happens? Do they, like, ask the princess?
Oh, no. The Ghost Guards take both souls. Lu Quan's soul gets zipped back into his own body at the Golden Pavilion. Easy enough.
And Li Quilian's soul?
They take to the palace garden where the Princess Li Ying is walking. The guards just push the princess down.
Push her down.
Yep. Knock her over, grab her departing soul, and then shove Li Quilian's soul into the princess's newly vacant body.
Whoa. That is... Wow. A soul transfer into a convenient, recently deceased body. That's next-level afterlife bureaucracy and intervention.
Is it? It's resurrection via body snatching, sanctioned by the kings of hell because fate said she should live, and this other body was on schedule to be empty.
In the palace grounds, we hear about Princess Yuding. She's the emperor's sister, his imperial sister, Yayume. She just collapses suddenly, and it looks like she's died. Just like that.
Yeah, and the speed is important. People rush off. The empress hears the consort. Pretty soon, Emperor Taizong knows. And what's really striking is Taizong's reaction. It's not just, shock. It's like recognition. He instantly remembers this conversation he had earlier with the rulers of the underworld themselves, the 10 kings of Yamato, Shida Yanjun. And in that chat, he'd asked about everyone back in the palace. The kings had said, the old folks, the young folks, they're all fine. But they specifically mentioned his sister. Said she was predicted to have a short lifespan.
Shuku.
Oh, okay, so when she collapses, it's not just some random tragedy hitting him. He immediately thinks, they told me this might happen. It connects straight back to that prophecy.
Exactly that. It puts this whole layer of, fate over the scene right from the start.
Okay.
But here's where it gets really strange. Everyone's upset, mourning starting. But then they notice she's still breathing. Just faintly. So Taizong rushes over, tries to talk to her, wake her up properly.
And she does stir, but not how you'd expect, right?
Yeah.
She cries out, calls for her husband, tells someone to wait for her. And when Taizong, her brother, speaks to her, she doesn't know who he is at all. Doesn't recognize the empress, the others there. It's like, oh, she's someone else. Precisely. And that's the pivot. She starts making these wild claims. Says her name isn't Princess Yang. She insists she's Li Quilian from the place called Jinzhou. And she says her husband's name is Lu Quan. Then comes the real shocker. She says she hanged herself 3 months ago.
Wait.
She explains it was after her husband scolded her. Apparently he was angry because she'd gone out to host a monk. He saw it as her, neglecting her duties. She says she left 2 children behind when she died. Her story about the underworld is just as strange, but it starts to loop back to Taizong. She says she was down there because her husband, Lu Quan, had been sent by the Tang King, that's Taizong on a mission, to deliver melons and fruits, to the kings of Yama. Li Quilian claims the kings of Yama felt sorry for them, for her and her husband, and they allowed them both to return to, the living world together. She explains collapsing in the garden by saying she was following him back from the underworld, couldn't keep up, fell behind, and sort of manifested right there in the palace.
Okay, hearing that, Taizong's first thought, he thinks she's confused from the fall. He orders the doctors, has her taken inside. He thinks she's just rambling, injured maybe. He hasn't put it together yet. And just then, perfect timing, the other half of the story walks up to the palace gate while they're all dealing with the princess inside, who arrives.
Lu Quan. He's back. Successful mission. Returned from the underworld after delivering those fruits for Taizong. Exactly. And this is where Lu Quan's side starts backing up the princess's, Li Quilian's story. He tells his tale. Went to the Gate of Ghosts, New Gunman one, then the Hall of Yama, Xin Luodian, presented the fruit, gave Taizong's regards, and apparently the kings of Yama were quite pleased. They called Taizong a trustworthy and virtuous emperor, means you deity Taizong Huangdi.
So even the rulers of death respect this guy. That says something about his reputation.
It does. Highlights his virtue, which becomes important later on. So the kings ask Liu Quan about himself. He tells them his sad story, a wife's suicide, his grief, but still willing to do this dangerous thing for the emperor. The kings immediately call for his wife, Li Quilian. She shows up. They meet right there in the Hall of Yama. And then the kings do something really interesting. They check the official records, the Tu Shu Sheng Wenbu.
The record of life and death? Like a cosmic spreadsheet.
Kinda, yeah. Detailing everyone's destined lifespan. And they find something odd. Both Liu Quan and Li Quilian were actually supposed to live much longer. The text calls it Teng Xianji Shou, basically, a lifespan leading towards immortality.
So her suicide, it wasn't her time, according to the books.
Exactly. It was against fate, a cosmic error that needed fixing.
Okay.
And this created an opportunity. The kings see, okay, Li Quilian's been dead 3 months, her original body's decayed, gone. But just then, a ghost messenger reports something else. Princess Li Ying is scheduled to die. An early death that very day.
So the princess's collapse wasn't random either. It was her fated time, according to the same ledger.
Right. Perfect timing. So the kings see a solution. Rectify Li Quilian's premature death. They decree she should borrow Princess Yu Ying's body to return her soul. In hell. Her soul gets to use the princess's newly empty body to come back.
So Liu Quan is told his wife is coming back, but he doesn't know she'll be in the princess's body, or where to find her.
Pretty much. He's told to return, walk ahead. But yeah, the text points out his confusion. He doesn't know where the Tang princess lives. So he has no idea where his wife's soul is going to end up in this huge palace complex. He's back, but she's somewhere. In royal form.
And this is when Taizong hears Liu Quan's story, and the two narratives just slam together. He hears about Li Quilian, the underworld meeting, the decree about borrowing a body, and realizes that the nonsense the princess was spouting. It matches Liu Quan's account perfectly.
It all clicks. Suddenly it's not nonsense anymore. And this possibility, this supernatural event, gets a nod from a top official. Wei Zheng, he basically confirms, yeah, borrowing a corpse to return the soul is a known concept. Rare, the text says, sure. Hard to encounter, but possible.
The scene when they bring Princess Yu Ying back out must have been intense because she's still acting like Li Quilian, right?
Oh, completely. She's agitated, refusing medicine, insisting the palace isn't her home. She describes her own place, her little cool tile-roofed house, King Liang Wakimo, compares it to the palace, which she calls a sickly yellow house with gaudy doors, basically insulting the royal decor. She's just loudly demanding they let her out.
It really shows how strongly Li Quilian's identity persists, regardless of the body.
Absolutely. Her soul, her personality, it's completely dominant. And then the moment of truth. Taizong asks her, do you recognize your husband? Her answer is immediate. Yes, of course. Childhood sweethearts, married, kids.
And then she sees Liu Quan.
And rushes right over, grabs him, starts scolding him. Why didn't you wait for me? Complaining about these unreasonable people, the palace staff keeping her there.
Poor Liu Quan. Hearing his wife's voice, her exact words, feeling her grab, but seeing the princess's face. The text says he hesitates.
Yeah, understandably. He's probably thinking, what is happening? He's unsure how to react.
And this moment, this is where Taizong's reaction is really highlighted, isn't it?
Yes, the text emphasizes it. Calls him a virtuous and capable king, Edgar Zhuan. He sees this completely bizarre thing unfold, this rare soul swap, right in front of him. And he doesn't panic, doesn't doubt, doesn't get angry. He just accepts it as real.
That's astonishing, really. Most rulers might assume trickery or madness, lock them up. But Taizong just accepts this supernatural event.
He does. And not just accepts it. His response is incredibly generous. And within the story's logic, it's framed as a reward for virtue. He basically treats it like a wedding send-off for this new pairing almost. He gives Liu Quan the entire dowry that belonged to Princess Ying, all her clothes, jewelry, everything. A huge gift for his wife, now in this royal body.
So Li Quilian gets the princess's body and all her stuff. That's quite an outcome for her.
It is, but it's more than just stuff. Taizong also gives Liu Quan this decree. Permanent exemption from all taxes and labor service. Yingmin Chaiyao.
Wow, that's life-changing security for their family.
Absolutely. And then he just tells Liu Quan, okay, take the princess, your wife, take her home.
And how does it end for them? Liu Quan and Li Quilian in her new form.
They're obviously incredibly grateful. They take the gifts, the decree, they go back to Junzhou, find their original house, their kids are okay, everything's fine there. They spread the word of their fortunate outcome. promoting the reward that comes from virtue. It's positioned as this happy ending, this sort of divinely arranged thing that ultimately stemmed from Taizong being virtuous enough to send Lu Quan on that mission, even amidst tragedy.
Emperor Taizong has just come back with this rather peculiar financial obligation.
A debt incurred literally in the land of the dead. The sources say King Taizong borrowed gold and silver while he was down there.
And the person he owes it to, well, it's not who you'd expect at all. It's a man named Shang Ling.
Shang Ling.
From Kaifeng Prefecture. Seems like just a regular poor guy. He and his wife, Zhang Shi, they just sell water and pottery.
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting, right? How does a poor water seller have, like, capital in the underworld for the emperor to borrow?
Well, the sources are quite specific. It's because of his consistent good deeds, his virtue.
Huh?
He was always donating to monks. The text calls it Jaiseng Bushi. And crucially, he burned paper money in ingots.
Okay.
But specifically marked for the underworld. The phrase is Jiku Fenshao.
So he was making deposits, essentially.
You could say that. In the economy of the afterlife depicted here, these good deeds, these offerings, they actually translated into real resources down there. He built up this, well, spiritual credit line.
Wow. Okay, so Taizong needs to repay this. He sends his minister, Yuqigang.
That's the one, Yuqigang, with a huge amount of gold and silver to find Xingling and settle the debt.
And Xingling's reaction? You'd think maybe shock, maybe joy.
Not at all. The sources say he and his wife were absolutely terrified.
Terrified.
Yeah, they flat out refused the money. They were convinced it had to be, dirty money, ill-gotten gains somehow.
They insisted they'd never lend anyone money, let alone the emperor.
Right. And Yuqigang, he tries to explain the situation, tells them, look, this was a loan the king took out in the underworld.
He even had a guarantor.
Exactly. Judge Kui, who Taizong met down there, but Shangling, he's just not having it.
He calls it, what, Ming Shi?
Ming Shi, yeah. Basically an underworld matter, something with no proof here, in the living world. He's emphatic, says he can't accept it, even if it costs him his life.
That's incredible integrity, isn't it? Faced with imperial riches delivered by a top minister, and he refuses because it just doesn't square with his reality.
It really underscores the source said earlier about his virtue, The wealth he built up through good deeds was clearly separate in his mind from actual gold and silver.
Yeah, it highlights this kind of clash between the value systems, the living world versus the underworld in the story. His character is just so consistent.
Totally agree. So Yuqigang has to go back empty-handed.
Reports back to Taizong. He won't take it.
And the king's reaction is also quite telling. He's not angry or frustrated.
No,
he praises Shang Ling, calls him a Shanling Zengze,
which means
a good and virtuous elder. He actually respects the guy's integrity.
So the debt still stands, technically.
Yeah.
What happens now? This is where Taizong gets creative, right?
Wow, very creative. He decides, okay, can't force the gold on him, so we'll use the funds differently.
Oh.
He orders that the money be used to build a huge temple and a shrine in Shangling's honor.
Wait, so building the temple is the repayment?
That's how the king frames it, yes. The act of building this sacred place, dedicated to the man whose virtue created the situation, serves as settling the underworld debt.
And the sources say this actually happened.
They're very specific. They talk about the construction of the Qian Jiangguo, the imperially built Shangguo temple, on a big plot of land, 50 minis. And inside, there's a shrine, a shengqi for Shang Liang and his wife. It even mentions a tablet overseen by Yuqigang himself.
The same guy who tried to give him the money.
The very same. And the text explicitly links this temple to the great Shangguo temple that people know today.
That's quite a journey. From an underworld IOU to a major physical landmark in the living world.
Built on the virtue of this humble, poor man. It shows how, in this narrative, spiritual merit isn't just abstract. It has real, tangible consequences.
Then preparations underway.
Yeah. So the king puts out a call, find us the most virtuous monks in the land to lead this vital ceremony. A shui lu da hui, a grand water and land ceremony.
Water and land.
Yeah, it's a specific type of large-scale Buddhist ritual. And its purpose here was explicit. Chao du ming fu gu hun, to save the orphan souls lingering in the underworld.
But then things take a turn.
They do. A conflict suddenly flares up. The grain astrologer, a guy named Taishi Chengfu Yi, sends a memorial, like a formal complaint, to the throne.
Complaining about what?
He was a staunch Confucian.
Ah, the Confucian critique.
Yeah.
What was his argument against it?
He wrote a formal memo, basically slamming the whole idea. He argued Buddhism messes up the proper social order. Yeah. The Confucian relationships, ruler-subject, father-son. He called Buddhist ideas like the six paths and karma just tricks to fool people.
Pretty strong words.
Oh, yeah. He said life, death, luck, that's all natural, depends on the ruler's virtue and heaven's will, not some foreign Buddhist gods. He pointed to ancient rulers who did fine without Buddhism, calling it alien and harmful to Chinese tradition.
Okay, so a fundamental clash of worldviews there. Did anyone defend Buddhism?
Absolutely. Xiao Yu, a top statesman who was also a devout Buddhist, stood up to Fu Yi. He argued, no, Buddhism is good for the nation because it teaches people to do good and avoid evil, even if you don't see the immediate payoff.
The unseen benefits argument.
Right. He called the Buddha a great sage and said attacking his teachings was basically impious. He flipped Fu Yi's argument, saying that rejecting Buddhist compassion actually means lacking core virtues like filial piety and loyalty.
So a real debate. Confucian values versus Buddhist principles. Were there any other opinions?
Yeah, a couple other officials, Zhang Dayuan and Zhu Zhangxing, tried to find a middle ground. They supported the idea of the three teachings, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism coexisting peacefully.
The syncretic approach.
Exactly. They mentioned past emperors who embraced all three, arguing they're all paths to wisdom and shouldn't be set against each other, trying to smooth things over.
So, faced with these different views, strong opposition, strong defense, calls for harmony. What does Emperor Taizong decide? Does the assembly go ahead?
He decides, yes, it goes ahead. He sides with proceeding with the Water and Land Assembly. It shows he clearly believed in its importance, likely influenced by his underworld trip.
Okay.
And he tells Wei Zheng, Xiao Yu, and Zhang Daoyuan, interestingly, representing different viewpoints to work together to pick the absolute best monk for the job. Someone really virtuous and wise to be the Putan, the altar master, the main guy leading the ceremony.
And he takes another step too, right? To protect Buddhism.
Yes. He issues another decree specifically saying, no slandering Buddhism or monks, basically putting imperial weight behind protecting the faith. A new law was decreed.
We trust.
Anyone caught harming monks or slandering Buddhism could have their arms cut off.
Whoa, that's decisive. Shows how seriously he took it.
Absolutely. So with that debate settled, the path is clear for the ceremony. Wei Zheng, Zhao Zheng, Zhang Dayuan, they get the job. Find the most virtuous monk.
The best of the best. Right. Great virtue and insight.
Precisely. To be the altar master.
And the monk they choose, this is the big reveal,
is Chen Xuanzang.
Chen Xuanzang. Known in his childhood as Jiang Liuer. This is him, the future Tripitaka.
The very one. And his background, as the sources detail it, is just extraordinary.
Tell us about it. It's not simple.
Not at all. So first off, he wasn't originally human. He was an immortal, Jin Chan.
The golden cicada.
Right, banished from the heavens because he apparently wasn't paying attention during one of the Buddha's lectures. A bit of daydreaming cost him immortality, seems like.
Ah, okay. So he's reborn on Earth.
Yes, but into incredibly dangerous circumstances. Yet his earthly family was actually very high status. His father, Chen Guangrui, was a top scholar, a high official. His mother was the daughter of a commander-in-chief.
But he gets orphaned.
Tragically, yes, as an infant. Raised in a monastery, miraculously survives, and then there's this dramatic reunion with his mother later on.
So he could have reclaimed this high-status life, presumably.
You think so? But the sources really emphasize his choice to remain a monk, his dedication. It says he mastered like thousands of scriptures, Kanjing Wandian, Wisuo Butong.
He knew everything.
Pretty much. And his virtue, his desing, was considered incredibly high. Plus his chansen, his zen mind, his spiritual focus.
So when he's presented to Taizong,
the king recognizes him as Chen Guangrui's son, which is significant, and he's just deeply impressed by Xuanzang's whole bearing, his obvious virtue and deep learning.
And he appoints him.
Yes. Gives him high titles. Chief Superintendent of Monks and valuable gifts, a special Ksaya robe, a Piluo hat. He's clearly marked as exceptional.
So the monk destined for the famous journey is chosen, and his selection is directly tied into this whole chain reaction that started with the underworld debt.
It all connects. The debt, the virtuous poor man, the temple, the debate, and now the chosen monk. His selection isn't random. It's the culmination of all these prior events.
Amazing. So what's next for Xuanzang?
He's immediately ordered to get ready. Lead the grand water and land ceremony at Huasheng Temple.
And the scale of this ceremony is huge, right?
Massive. The sources mention gathering 1,200 monks.
Wow.
Divided into 3 sections, They're preparing for a ceremony that's planned to last 49 days.
49 days?
Yeah, starting on a specific date, the 9th month, 3rd day.
And who's attending? Just the monks?
Oh no, given its imperial origins and purpose, it's a major state event. And the emperor himself, along with the entire court, plans to be there for the opening. Shows just how significant this water and land assembly was meant to be. Everyone coming to offer incense and listen.